Patton Sports Videocast is brought to you by Snap Laces. Snap Laces' elite lacing system was designed for world-class athletes. They come in hundreds of color combinations so you can perform well and look great at the same time. Buy a set online today by clicking through the top image on mopattonsports.com. I want to thank you for joining us here on Patton Sports Videocast as we head into Week 5 of the Mid-State High School football season. I'm Maurice Patton here with Kevin Smith. We're going to take a look at some key games this week, and one of them will be right here. Hendersonville and Hillsboro, a couple of Region 6-5A teams. Hendersonville comes in undefeated at 4-0. Hillsboro's 2-2, got a couple of losses to a couple of 6A programs, Riverdale and Oakland.
Yeah, this is a really big matchup in this region, Mo. This is a game, trying to get into first place, hoping to get a number one seed in the playoffs as we're progressing forward through the season. And it's really a clash of two different type of ball clubs, Mo. We're talking about a wing T team in Hendersonville who's playing great defense. And we're talking about a Hillsboro team who's going to line up in a little bit of a pro, little I formation, then spread you out a little bit with big play capability. And is also playing pretty good defense with a really good and fast front seven that they're really excited about. So a really good matchup this week.
We've kind of been pointing toward this game over the first half of the season. It's hard to believe that we're already in Week 5 and that we're to it. But, I was talking to Dustin Lopez, Hillsboro's defensive coordinator, the other night, and he says this is probably going to be the first week that they've had their defense that they wanted to have on the field to open the season in place and healthy.
Yeah, and Hillsboro's had a really tough schedule and some injuries, so they're getting some of those injured players back. I go back to this, though, Mo. Hillsboro's schedules actually help them in a way. A lot of times you see wing T teams for the first time, and it's very difficult to prepare for. Hillsboro's actually seen two teams prior to this matchup, a wing T team, so I think that may help them in this matchup against Hendersonville.
Definitely help them from a defensive standpoint, like you said, of the discipline that it takes to play a wing T. But at the same time, they lost to both those teams, so it maybe hits them a little from a confidence standpoint, but they have seen it.
Yeah, and I think getting a couple players back, one young man to mention is Ben Hutch, a massive defensive end, defensive tackle. Is a very good football player. He's back this week. There's a little bit of star power here in this game. We have Jay King from Hillsboro. We have Malik Fleming. Both guys are receivers/secondary players that are fun players to watch. Then we have Terrell Carter on the other side for Hendersonville, who is a great wingback in his own right on offense, running back, and also a great defensive back on the defensive side. So we got some star power as well as some just good high school football players.
At Hendersonville, a lot of different people see the football typically on offense. But you mentioned Terrell, and he's got 4 100-yard games in as many games. He's been the consistent part of that offense for them. I think he's got about 580 yards on the season so far. So he's going to touch the ball a lot for Hendersonville. I think for Hillsboro, one guy that hasn't been mentioned a whole lot on the defensive side of the ball is Roy Hunter, their outside linebacker. They're really wild about.
Yeah, and they do a good job defensively. And like we've touched on quite a bit this year, Hillsboro is excited about their defense. However, Mo, they're replacing a lot of starters from their 5A runner-up team from last year. So this is a team that's continuing to develop. They've already played multiple legitimate contenders already on their schedule. And really, I go back to Hendersonville as well, Mo, when you're talking about Terrell Carter. I like the fact they got multiple backs, too, that are getting touches, but also like what the coaching staff's doing by giving Terrell the ball in different situations. I've actually seen him at fullback. I've actually seen him at wingback. I've actually seen him at the wildcat position at quarterback. So they're doing some things to get their good players the ball, and I really like that creativity by their coaching staff.
Another big game we want to look at down in Murfreesboro, Blackman and Oakland, big region, 2-6A over there. Both those teams lost in their openers against Blackman against Clay Chalkville out of Alabama, and Oakland lost to Hoover, and neither of them's lost since.
Yeah, I really like the groove that Blackman's gotten into over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of a team of no names. Essentially, when you talk about the star power they had last year, a couple of just some really good players that have come together and played as a team. On the flip side, Oakland's got a lot of star power. We're talking about Jacoby Stevens, one of the best players in the state, Ty Nix at D tackle, but they're also having slow starts, Mo. They're really struggling to start ball games with turnovers and penalties. And I wonder how this game is going to start, because if Oakland does that against Blackman, I don't know if they can recover from a slow start.
They're starting slow, but they're finishing fast. They scored 49 against Siegel a couple of weeks ago. So they've got an offense that can put a lot of points up quick. And like you said, Blackman could get them in a hole, and Blackman can score as well. So, do you expect a shootout out of this, or do you expect it to settle in a little bit?
No, I really don't. I really feel like this is going to be a grinded-out football game. Blackman, I'm really impressed with their offensive line and how well they can control the clock and run the football with Taylor Dowdy. And I'm also really impressed with their quarterback, Miller Armstrong. I think he does a great job of managing the game, but I don't want to label him just as a manager. I also think he makes a lot of plays. Looking at the game last week, rushing the football, catching a pass on a double pass. And then Blackman also does a really good job. They play some suffocating defense, Mo. They are flying to the football. They're disciplined. They're led by their free safety, Blake Taylor, who's kind of the quarterback of their defense. I'm really impressed with them. And when you're playing in Oakland, you're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to tackle well in space because they have some really good skill players that can score at any time.
Another game we want to take a look at over in Williamson County, Ravenwood and Franklin at Region 3-6A. Ravenwood coming off of, I'm still shocked by that 30-13 loss over at Centennial. Franklin beat Brentwood last week, both of those non-region games. Franklin lost 2 weeks ago in region play to Overton, and like I said, Ravenwood's going to kind of be looking to shore some things up, I think.
Yeah, and this is a tough game for Franklin. We're going to two rivals back-to-back weeks, and kind of in situations where they need to win the ball game. We talked a little bit last week, and I want to apologize to Centennial for saying that you're going to catch Ravenwood at a time where you might not want to catch them. Centennial obviously did a great job in that football game. I really wouldn't want to catch Ravenwood this week. 6 turnovers, a bad loss to Centennial for them. They're going to come back focused. Coach Hester's going to have their ear now, and I'm looking for them. They've already, Chris Rowland, he did his thing last week. We need to see more guys step up for them, and I'm looking for them to maybe get Connor Jeffries going a little bit at the running back position, maybe a little bit at the slot receiver, and looking for their defense to kind of get back into the swing of things with a lot of depth.
I think you're looking for Andrew Rapay to kind of settle in and take a little bit better care of the football as well. That, 6 turnovers, and I think 5 of those were picks. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach the game from the quarterback spot. Do they put it in his hands, or do they stick to the run game there? But I think that'll definitely be something to watch.
Yeah, and Franklin, on the other hand, Mo, they've talked about starting with a lot of young players. Those players have gotten a lot of reps here recently, so hopefully we can see them kind of continue to progress, not have the silly penalties, the false starts, the holdings, and that they can continue to progress with their run game and then their play-action passes. And if they can do that, they've played some pretty good defense, Mo. Coach Webb's done a great job on the defensive side of the ball. They're keeping them in games, and they caused a lot of turnovers last week as well against Brentwood. So if the offense can continue to get better and better, could be a tight ball game.
I think Franklin's going to have to be able to run the ball, run some clock, keep the ball away from Ravenwood's offense, and limit their big play capabilities. That's got to be the recipe, I would think.
Agree, 100%.
Up in Montgomery County, we're moving around a lot. Rossview and Clarksville is a big region game up there.
Yeah, Rossview's kind of had a couple of games where they've thrown it all over the yard and put up some major offensive numbers, and then they had a game there where Brentwood kind of stymied them a little bit. So look for Rossview to get back on track. They really need to get their offense going again and make sure that they can throw it around a little bit, but also mix in the run. And normally Clarksville teams are pretty fast, pretty athletic defensive football teams. So this could be a tough matchup for Rossview.
I like what Isaac Shelby has done up at Clarksville in his second year over there. They're undefeated at 4-0. Shelbyville and Laverne in region, 5-5A that is. I think Shelbyville was expected to be a factor in that region. I think Laverne may have kind of caught some folks a little off guard. This is going to be a good ball game.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is kind of a both teams, again, another kind of star power game. A Shelbyville team who's got a lot of experience, some kids who've been playing for a long time. Their quarterback, Mason Cunningham, I'm really impressed with him on film. He does a good job of running and throwing the football. I really like their running back, Michael Edding.
Tough kid.
Yeah, he runs the ball well. They can get him out in space, and they got some pretty good skilled players, too, that they can get the ball to as well. On the flip side, Laverne has a lot of star power as well. We're talking about Malik Gray, who's one of the top-rated prospects in the country at an outside linebacker position. And Nick Jones has been going off at running back. Had over 200
256
yards.
last week.
Yeah, I mean, the young man is really running well. And let's give the offensive line some credit there for opening up holes for him. So this is kind of a star-studded matchup. And Shelbyville's defense has been causing turnovers, Mo. They've been doing a great job of flying around, and that's something they're going to have to do to beat Laverne.
The one thing about Laverne is they lost Princeton Fant, who was a really highly regarded receiver. Lost him in the preseason. I don't know if they're going to get him back this year. If they do, it's going to be late, but I think that was a guy that they were really counting on, and the fact that they've been able to get off to the start that they've gotten off to without him really hammered Columbia a couple of weeks ago and kind of served some notice around here, I think. But for them to do what they've done without a guy like that kind of speaks volumes for the job that Stanton Stevens has done over there.
Yeah, and I think it goes back a little bit back to Oakland. They got to do a good job of starting fast, not having costly turnovers. They had too many penalties last week. They got to get away from that if they're going to beat a good Shelbyville team. And we need to see Chris Myers, an MTSU commit at the defensive end, tight end position. Seeing him on film, they're doing a great job of getting him the ball and some tight ends right down the seam. And he's got to play some really good defense versus an explosive offense that Shelbyville has. So really excited about this game. This is going to be a good pick later on, Mo, but this could be a classic matchup.
Chris Myers, the younger brother of a guy who probably has one of the better nicknames in college or pro football now, Robert Snacks Myers. He was an offensive lineman over at TSU. He's now with the Ravens, I think. So Snacks. I don't know what that makes Chris. But anyway, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Mo Patton Sports Videocast is brought to you by Snap Laces. Snap Laces' elite lacing system was designed for world-class athletes. They come in hundreds of color combinations so you can perform well and look great at the same time. Buy a set online today by clicking through the top image on mopattonsports.com. John Mayer Builders proudly sponsors Mo Patton Sports Videocast. With over 1,500 homes built in Middle Tennessee, John Mayer Builders knows the importance of families and communities. They have numerous business awards to their credit, proving that John Mayer Builders is built to win. Like them on Facebook. John Mayer Builders, our reputation is building. At National Playmakers Academy, developing NPA athletes comes in threes. NPA develops its student athletes' academic, social, and football-specific skills. Next, NPA develops them for better exposure today, recruitment tomorrow, and college education through scholarships for the rest of their lives. We are proud of the outstanding athletes we have developed. We are more proud of the college graduates we have prepared. Work with National Playmakers Academy for developing gifted athletes into productive citizens. Kevin, another big game is White House Heritage goes to undefeated Stratford in a Region 5-3A game.
Yeah, we knew Maurice Fitzgerald would do some good things at Stratford. I don't know if we thought they would start this fast in his first year, but great job by him and his coaching staff. Got a bunch of young men who believe in what they're doing. And they got a little dynamo, and his name is Corey Simmons, a guy who is all over the place at running back, at receiver, on defense. He's doing a little bit of everything, the athlete you're looking for on your ball club, getting the football. On the flip side, White House Heritage has a young man named Kyle Fuhrer, running back, who just actually is coming off a 176-yard rushing performance versus CPA, a very good defensive football team. And I think that's going to be the key for Stratford this week. We're talking about wing T. And Stratford's going to have to be disciplined with their eyes. They can't look in the backfield. They're going to have to do a really good job of playing sound football defensively to stop White House Heritage's offense.
You know, you talked about Heritage losing to CPA 35-28. They have got to be, we were just talking about it, one of the best 1-3 teams out there. And they just, not a lot of stars, not a lot of standouts, but they just play tough football.
Yeah, and they're going to run right at you. I mean, this is a football team that's going to run 40, 50 times as long as they can get the offensive possessions. They're going to try to rack up over 300 to 350 yards rushing, and this is going to be a smash-mouth game that Stratford's got to be ready for defensively. And on the flip side for White House Heritage, they're going to have to do a really good job of tackling in the open space, and they're going to have to do a good job of being able to stop some of Stratford's athletes that can make you miss and can score in a hurry. So it really, to me, is going to come down to who can stop the other one, who can control time of possession, and a big special teams play could be the difference in this game.
You talked about Corey Simmons for Stratford. They've kind of got that thunder and lightning type setup, with Corey being the lightning and Daniel Williams being the thunder. Both those guys are getting the ball a lot, and they are right around 200, 300 rushing yards for the year. James Hughes has been credited with almost 60 tackles at linebacker for him, so he's a guy that White House Heritage will have to account for when they've got the ball.
Yeah, and you mentioned Daniel Williams. Both kids, Corey and Daniel, can go to the house for 80 yards if you're not disciplined on defense for White House Heritage. So they got to do a good job of playing their gaps, making sure they're disciplined, because if they miss on either one of those guys, they can take it all the way to the end zone for a touchdown.
And in the passing game, Josh Trueheart has been making it happen for Stratford as well. Big kid, 6'4", 6'5", likes to throw it. They don't throw it a lot, but when they do, it usually goes big. So Heritage has to be careful about bunching up in the box and then getting somebody out on the edge.
Yeah, and it's a huge region game. So, I mean, this is one of those that both teams need. They want to kind of stay up there in the hunt with CPA to give themselves an opportunity to possibly get that #1 seed in this region. So, a big matchup for both of them.
Again, we'll be getting to our picks of those first 6 games here in a bit, but a couple other games that we want to kind of visit, take a look at. Beach and Cane Ridge is another Region 6 5A game. Beach just lost to Hendersonville last week. Cane Ridge lost to Hendersonville 2 weeks ago, bounced back and beat McGavock last week.
A huge win for Cane Ridge, a very surprising margin of victory. Love their defense. They're just running the football and they're making plays. On top of running to the ball and making plays, they're causing turnovers and they're giving their offense an opportunity to have some short field position to score. Really like what they're doing defensively. And for Beach, they just had a tough physical in-town rival game, and that's hard to come right back on your schedule and have to turn around and play a very, very good defense in Cane Ridge. So Beach is going to have to get their mind right quickly to be ready for this game.
Also, Dixon County at Brentwood. Dixon County coming off of an overtime loss to Spring Hill. They go to Brentwood in a region game.
Yeah, another one that we've talked about a little bit that Brentwood needs, and it's a young football team with a lot of sophomores, and they kind of need a win to continue to help them in their progression with Coach Crawford. So Dixon County is a really tough-minded football team, have a couple of receivers as well that can make big plays, a really good running back. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Brentwood defensively, and I look for this to be a really close ball game.
Brentwood coming off that tough loss at Franklin that we talked about a little bit ago. NBA goes to McCallie in a big D2 AA matchup, Kevin.
Yeah, another interesting matchup because both teams can score and both teams have explosive skill players. NBA's done a good job of riding Ty Chandler in the backfield, and they've got a really good offensive line. McCallie can score from anywhere with a number of different players. To me, this game's going to come down to who can get the most 3-and-outs, who can get their defense off the field and then control the ball on offense. To me, Mo, another big part of this game is can we give up, who can stop the big plays? Because McCallie wants to get those 80-yard touchdowns in a hurry. Who can slow down the big plays and get off the field?
The quarterback spot in this game, I think, is, well, it's always pivotal, but in this game in particular, because NBA lost to Mr. Football and Cole Uverard, who's now at the Naval Academy, replaced him with a senior Glenn Coleman. Talked to Marty Uverard earlier this week, and he really likes the job that Glenn has come in and done as a senior who backed up Cole last year.
Yeah, they just have a good football team. That coaching staff's done a great job. Obviously, they're the reigning Division II AA state champs, and we need to remember that. We need to make sure that people remember that they're still the favorites here, especially with the Ty Chandler in the roster, and some complementary players who do a great job for them. McCallie's going to be a tough task for them. Again, they can score. Question is, can McCallie stop NBA? And we've been talking about that over and over again. McCallie has the pieces to be a state championship contender if they can get their defense shored up.
McCallie's got a quarterback, Javon Craig, who's a senior who is getting a lot of looks in the recruiting aspect of things. His backup, Robert Riddle, came in and threw for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns not too long ago. So they've got a couple of guys that get it done in different ways at quarterback, and I would almost think with the success that they've had with both of them that you almost have to prepare for both of them because they might make a switch.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for a defensive coordinator just with all the offensive players that McCallie has. And with what Coach Potter does a really good job in the option game. He does a good job with his offensive scheme. It's a tough matchup for a defensive coordinator to get ready for McCallie. And the speed factor is also a tough matchup. So I'm sure NBA spent a lot of time in the film room, a lot of sleepless nights this week to prepare for that game. But it's going to be a fantastic Division II AA matchup. I'm really excited about it.
In Division IIA, University School of Jackson comes up this way to play BGA, the defending D2A state runner-up.
Yeah, another good matchup in Division II Single A. Kind of both teams want to spread it out and throw it around the yard. So we got 2 good quarterbacks playing. We've said it numerous times that we think the ace in the hole is Clay Bedford. If I've got him on my team, I feel very confident. in my chances to win. But this is going to be a game that could be thrown all over the place. This could take 3 or 4 hours, Mo, depending on how many incompletions and completions we have in this game. But I really like this matchup.
Yeah, I think it's a fun matchup. It's a fun matchup from the standpoint that USJ's coach Mickey Marley is a Franklin native, played at Franklin High years and years ago. So kind of a homecoming for him, and I think the community will kind of be excited about him coming back to town.
Well, I like these. I like when we have teams that play from different parts of the state and then come together and play each other. I think it's really good for our state, and I think it's really good for Division II Single A to have these type of games.
And again, this is a game that could be kind of a precursor to something that you see later on in the year. We're going to take another break here and be back with you here in just a second. Great teams have talent. They also have the necessary tools for success. BSN Sports delivers these tools whether your team needs uniforms, apparel, or athletic equipment to achieve greatness. Just like a winning teammate, BSN Sports is there for you. Their unmatched service ensures that you have best-in-class equipment for championship-level performance, plus uniforms and athletic apparel from the best brands in the industry to look your best when hoisting your trophy. At National Playmakers Academy, developing NPA athletes comes in threes. NPA develops its student-athletes academic, social, and football-specific skills. Next, NPA develops them for better exposure today, recruitment tomorrow, and college education through scholarships for the rest of their lives. We are proud of the outstanding athletes we have developed. We are more proud of the college graduates we have prepared. Work with National Playmakers Academy for developing gifted athletes into productive citizens. I2, Integrity Insurance. I2 Agency was started with one primary focus in mind, helping people. As a multi-line insurance agency, we do that in a variety of ways with a full portfolio of products. Whether it's life, health, dental, Medicare, annuities, or home and auto insurance, we design solutions that will meet your individual needs. Kevin, as we said, we're at week 5 of the season, and you're starting to kind of see a little separation, I guess. We've got 15 teams in Middle Tennessee that are 4-0 at this point. We've got some other undefeated teams, but they're 3-0. But just kind of wanted to take a quick run through at some of those 4-0 teams and let you know what they've got coming up this week and as far as their chances of staying 4-0. At least one of them's going down because Nashville Christian and Joe Burns play each other. They're both 4-0. Big region game for them.
Yeah, I like Nashville Christian. They got a lot of really good players, good coaching staff. I see Nashville Christian staying undefeated in this one.
Yeah, they've got Daniel Batuli. I'm not sure how much offense he's playing anymore. He was a running back linebacker, 6'3", 230 something. I think they like what he's doing over there on defense right now.
Yeah, UT commit. He has all the tools to be a great college player. And they got a young man, Mr. McGraw, who is in the backfield now. Running the ball, another very good player that you could possibly see at the next level on the defensive side of the ball as well at a cornerback position.
Absolutely. His brother Rico got a lot of playing time Saturday over at Vanderbilt for that red team, the Georgia Bulldogs. So Mario is kind of looking to follow his big bro into the college ranks. Another game featuring a 4-0 team. Got Wayne County going to Hollow Rock Brewston.
They're going to be tough. We always know Wayne County always has tough football teams. They're going to try to smash mouth you, so we'll continue to see that this week.
The one thing about Wayne County, Rick Rice has been the coach down there forever. He's had 3 sons come through there. All 3 of them have played quarterback. The youngest one, Preston, is at the spot right now, and they're expecting to make a deep run. And obviously, again, at 4-0, they're off to a pretty good start. Houston County Houston County plays Collinwood at home. CPA is idle this week. They're off to a 4-0 start. Get a little time to kind of catch their breath.
Yeah, and to get rest and go scout Innsworth. They have Innsworth coming off their bye week, so kind of maybe a nice little break for them right in the middle of the season here to get some injured players back, some kids that are banged up, and get ready for a tough matchup. Stone
Memorial and Livingston Academy over on the eastern edge of the mid-state. That's a program that hasn't had a whole lot of success, so to see them off to 4-0, nice for them. Montgomery Central plays Kenwood. That's a big region game. They're playing at Montgomery Central. Jeff Tomlinson's got them rolling at 4-0. Independence, we hadn't touched on them in this episode, but they play Summit and they're 4-0.
Yeah, kind of shocking that we haven't talked about Independence. We've been spending a lot of time on them, and rightfully so. Again, just gutty performances by Adam Swayze, moving from wide receiver to play quarterback. And again, we got to talk about that defense. They deserve the headlines. They put on a show this week. They're fast, they're physical, and they're making plays. It's fun to watch.
Coming off a 21-7 win over Smyrna, they play Summit this week in a region game, and then they're off next week. And I think they expect to have their quarterback Andrew Bunch back when they come out of the break. Touched on Shelbyville at Laverne. We touched on Hendersonville, Hillsboro, Clarksville at Rossview. Cookeville is at Siegel. That's a big Region 2 6A game, and Cookeville is off to a 4-0 start.
Yeah, Cookeville's been really explosive on the offensive side of the ball. They got a really good running back. They got an H-back tight end in Gabe Angel, who I've seen this summer. Very athletic young man, can be used in a lot of ways. And Coach Jimmy Maynard has got this program kind of going in the right direction. Cookeville's always been a pretty good program, but Jimmy's there to kind of take it to another level, and he's doing a good job right now.
Jimmy had a lot of success over at Smith County before he went over to Cookeville about 3 years ago. Gabe, like you said, Gabe Angel is an Ole Miss commit. Vic Johnson is the running back that you were talking about, and he's starting to make some noise and attract some attention as well, I think. FRA goes to, is at home, rather, against Mount Juliet Christian, another 4-0 team.
Yeah, I don't see any problems here for FRA. Look for them to move to 5-0. They've really done a good job on the offensive side of the ball with some really good skill players that can score from any position. So look for Larry Wilhoit and Sam Harvin and Spence Jones to continue that scoring trend this week as well.
It'll be interesting to see how they regather following the loss of the Stockstill-Dix kid. I think he tore an ACL last week. So big part of their offense. And you talked about some versatility and some explosion, and that's a guy who kind of added to that.
Yeah, and depth is always a concern for the smaller schools. So hopefully somebody can step in and get some reps and get ready to go and be ready when the playoffs come to be a key contributor.
Okay. And another game that we already discussed, MBA undefeated. They go to McCallie this week. So that gets your 4-0s, looking to be 5-0s out of the way. Guess we need to go over our picks from last week, maybe, or maybe not. We looked at Beach Hendersonville, and I think we both went with Hendersonville. Is that right?
Both went with Hendersonville. Great job by them. Good win in a game that could have gone in either direction when you're talking about rivalry game.
Another game from last week, Kevin, Cane Ridge and McGavock. I think we both went with the home team, McGavock, in that one.
Yeah, we were both wrong there. And again, great performance by Cane Ridge. Great job of their defense. A defense that if you get an opportunity, if you like defensive football, go watch them because they fly around. They do a great job of punishing the ball carrier when they get there. Great win for Cane Ridge.
Ryan and JP2.
Yeah, we both went with Ryan. We thought they would win. Showed us a lot about Father Ryan, that they got down early 9-0 and kept themselves in the game, were mentally tough, and came back and won that football game. That's going to serve them well for the rest of the season.
Hendersonville beat Beach 30-16 was the final. Cane Ridge 33, McGavock 14, and Ryan 30-22, I think it was, in the final over JP2. Overton went to Lipscomb and picked up a big win.
Yeah, and Overton was really impressive. I really enjoyed watching their running backs and their quarterback, Julius King, man. He had some really good runs. They mixed in enough passes to Mr. Pankey and to Mr. Payne, two guys that can run and catch. And then defensively, they did a really good job of staying disciplined against the wing tee of Lipscomb.
You know, you got to feel like they're going to be a factor in that region when it's all said and done, in Region 3-6A.
Yeah, they're going to be a very pesky team in that region. The only concern I have for them is the lack of depth. Their first 22 can play with anybody. We're just going to have to pray that they stay injury-free, because I'm concerned about their depth going forward. Procone
at CPA. CPA wound up winning a 34-26 game, and it's a lot closer than we had anticipated.
Yeah, you kind of thought that it would be a tight ball game. Those games over the last couple of years have been really tight. Glad they're playing again. It's a fun game for both communities. A great job by CPA to find a way to win again. Procone's just got to keep their confidence, hang in there. They're a contender for a 4A state championship. There's no question about it. They just got to keep their confidence up.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at who they've played, you almost have to put an asterisk next to their 1-3 start with losses to Hillsboro, MBA, and now CPA.
Yeah, and they've done a pretty good job in every game. And I think Coach Bernetti would tell you they got to clean up the mistakes, the turnovers and the penalties. And when they clean those up, they can play with anybody in this state.
Smyrna Independence, we talked about that one already. Independence defense really rising up and holding Smyrna to one touchdown in a tough situation, but winning that game 21-7.
I took Smyrna in that game thinking as a 6A football team without Independence's star quarterback. But, hey, Smyrna's not going anywhere. They're still a really good football team. They've already got a couple of great wins this year. Independence is just legit. I mean, they are a legit contender for a state title, and they're proving that each week by continuing to win in different ways and reinventing themselves on offense and defense.
If it makes you feel any better, I took Smyrna too. Big games this week. We're going to try to pick and see if we can maybe put together a perfect run here. Who did we have? We had Hendersonville-Hillsboro right here.
Yeah, I like Hendersonville. It's a team that we've talked a lot about. I think they have a special mix of good defense with depth at the running back position, and they've been doing their system for a long time. And Coach does a great job of moving his players around. They understand what they want. I also think Hillsboro's got an opportunity to go back to the state championship game. I'm not saying that they both teams have an opportunity, but I really like Hendersonville to win this physical football game Friday night.
I think Hendersonville's game is more suited to winning on the road, maybe, and I think that's going to be the difference. I like Hendersonville in this one, close. Blackman at Oakland.
Yeah, this could shock some people. I actually like Blackman. It goes back to what I said earlier. I like the groove they've gotten into. They've just got something about them, Mo. They're together as a team. I like their coaching staff being aggressive. I like how they're playing suffocating defense. I love their run game. If they can continue to eliminate the special teams mistakes, I like them in this football game. They're going to have to make sure that they don't let Oakland get off. But if Oakland starts slow, they're not going to be able to come back against Blackman.
You know, this is a tough pick. I'm going to roll with the home team. I'm going with the Patriots in this one. I like Jacoby Stevens to make a big play late or make a big play early, but to make a big play. I like Oakland in this one.
You know, Mo, and I'm anxious to see, did the off week help or hurt? Did it help Oakland to take a week off, get some guys healed up, they were banged up, have a little extra time in the film room? Or did it hurt them a little bit to get out of a little bit of a groove that they got into at the end of the game versus Siegel? Like you said, man, they exploded for a lot of points there in the second half. So did that take a little momentum away from them? It's going to be I'm anxious to see how this goes.
Speaking of anxious to see, I'm anxious to see how Ravenwood responds after last week's loss over at Centennial. They go to Franklin.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Ravenwood in this one. I still think Franklin's a little too young, and they're still working through some things on their side or on their football team. I like Ravenwood's ability to score. I like their depth on defense. I think Coach Hester now has their ear. I look for Ravenwood to get that victory this week.
I have to agree with you. I think a mad Ravenwood could be a tough order for Franklin to deal with this week. Rossview at Clarksville.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the undefeated team here. I'm going to go with Clarksville. Rossview's been a little inconsistent for me, a little up and down offensively, and I like Clarksville. I think their speed and their defense is going to be a little too much for Rossview.
I like Clarksville, but look for Jordan Justice, the Rossview quarterback, to have a big one in that one. Shelbyville at Laverne.
Yeah, another tough pick. Both teams have athletic players. Both teams do a good job defensively. I like Shelbyville's experience. I think they got a lot of experience. I think they're explosive on offense. And I think they've been stingy enough and fast enough on defense to contain Laverne and turn them over. Laverne is going to have to do a great job of not turning it over, and their costly penalties as well, but they're going to have a tough night.
Yeah, I think Shelbyville, like you said, I think they're steady enough. Laverne has been more of a big play type of team, and I think Shelbyville consistently for 4 quarters holds on and wins this thing. White House Heritage at Stratford.
Yeah, another tough game. This is kind of two teams that are completely different. Two teams that are going to do completely different things. I'm going to go with the undefeated team. I'm going to go with Stratford here to stay undefeated against White House Heritage. I think it's going to be a really tough football game, and both teams are going to have to find a way to keep the ball from the other one and limit turnovers to win this football game, but I like Stratford.
I like Stratford's big playability in this one. I like Stratford to stay undefeated as well. Great teams have talent. They also have the necessary tools for success. BSN Sports delivers these tools whether your team needs uniforms, apparel, or athletic equipment to achieve greatness. Just like a winning teammate, BSN Sports is there for you. Their unmatched service ensures that you have best-in-class equipment for championship-level performance, plus uniforms and athletic apparel from the best brands in the industry to look your best when hoisting your trophy. The law practice of Allen D. Hall, PLC is grounded in providing exceptional legal services with the utmost trust and integrity. Legal services Allen provides include employment law, confidential investigations, general business law, risk management, and regulatory policy interpretation and drafting. Ultimately, if you need consulting solutions, Allen D. Hall needs to be your choice. John Mayer Builders proudly sponsors Mo Patton Sports Videocast. With over 1,500 homes built in Middle Tennessee, John Mayer Builders knows the importance of families and communities. They have numerous business awards to their credit, proving that John Mayer Builders is built to win. Like them on Facebook. John Mayer Builders, our reputation is building. Thanks for joining us here on Mo Patton Sports Videocast as we kind of preview Week 5 here. For Kevin Smith, I'm Maurice Patton. We'll see you at the ball game.